Hey, we're back, we're live, we're here. We're alive, we're here.
We're here.
This is Hawaii, the state of energy, the state of clean energy. And the title of our show is Sharon Returns Victorious. It is like a triple entendre on all of that. Okay, that's Sharon Moriwaki next to me. She's co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And Ray Starling to her left, he's Hawaii Energy. And Mike Hamnet, he's the other co-chair of Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And we four are the four hosts of Hawaii, the state of clean energy, all together. That's wonderful. At one time. You don't see this. It's like old home week.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Four horsemen.
Okay, let's do our features first. We have Shana Doi. I can't help but thinking of Shana Punam. Shana Punam is a Yiddish expression, means pinchably cute.
Oh, gosh.
Okay? Sorry I said that. But we'll call you Shana Doi today.
I was all ready until you said that.
From Hawaii Energy. So you got some special deals and incentives for us today, Shana?
I'm just here to spread holiday cheer because I'm here to provide energy saving tips for the holidays from Hawaii Energy. So I want to kick off my list of tips here with number one. So the first holiday tip is when you're looking for gifts, we recommend if you're going to buy electronics, everybody loves those hot tablets, TVs, DVD players, all kinds of stuff for your home. 2 words you want to remember is Energy Star. So you want to look for the blue label. Energy Star TVs can save you up to, I think it's been said it's like 25% more efficient than regular TVs. So if you haven't upgraded, now's a great time to do it. There's lots of sales. And you can get them on a lot of, there's more and more things that are earning the Energy Star certification these days, so just look out for that. Second holiday tip is when you're in the kitchen, we try to encourage different ways to use your oven or cook your big turkey or ham. One of the things we encourage is when you're cooking in your household, try not to open the door too much on the oven because it lets heat out, and same principle as your refrigerator, it needs to use more energy to bring it back up to temperature and keep your cooking time and even. And also if you're really adventurous, one of my coworkers in our office actually did this for Thanksgiving, is he just skipped the oven altogether and he did it outside in his backyard with an imu, a Hawaiian style way of cooking, so you don't even have to use any electricity for that. You could do that if you have time. And then thirdly, everybody's putting up their Christmas lights, and we just want to encourage everybody to switch to LED Christmas lights if you haven't already. Incandescents are just a thing of the past now, so they can actually start fires if you have a dry tree too, so that's it's a safety issue. But they use about 70 to 80% less energy than typical incandescent Christmas lights, those LEDs do, and they come in different shapes and sizes and colors, so you have your choice. And I think actually some of the big box retailers might do exchanges, so if you bring in your old lights, you can get like a discount on your new LED lights. So that's it. That's 3 tips.
So the message is, when everybody gets into the Christmas fever about shopping, shop not only for yourself, shop for the benefit of the community too.
That's
shop
right.
for the benefit of energy efficiency too.
That's right. That's right. Very good.
Okay, you guys have comments?
Only is there any incentives if we bought LED Christmas lights or LED products?
Unfortunately, no. But if you
Nothing,
wanted
no?
to buy LED lights, like house lights, we do offer. Hawaii Energy does offer an incentive on those, and those are built into the price of the light. So you don't have to fill out an application or anything. We just offset the costs and make it cheaper for you to purchase those at the store. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shana.
Thank you.
Thanks for
You're
coming
welcome.
down.
Thank you
Great
for
job.
having me.
And if you don't mind if I call you Shana Punam once in a while.
I might not remember who that is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shana.
Okay, so our next feature is Hawaiian Electric. We love to cover Hawaiian Electric. We want to know everything you're doing, and it's great to have you here. Rodney Chung from Hawaiian Electric going to tell us about the new projects that are coming online, the ones that were announced only a few days ago in your press release. Welcome to the show, Rodney.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what you got.
Well, just last week, we announced and filed with the Public Utilities Commission 6 more utility scale projects. They amounted to about 207 megawatts of utility scale PV projects. In addition to the one project we filed a couple months ago, its totals about 222 megawatts of PV utility scale projects. The exciting thing about these projects is that you know, on average, they're roughly about 14 cents per kilowatt hour, which is significantly lower than some of the other utility scale projects that we have in service and operation right now. So it's a benefit for all our customers. It's a downward trend on prices, and it's renewable energy. You know, 222 megawatts is a large chunk to our system peak of roughly 1,200 megawatts.
Yeah, that's substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, so any questions or comments? Ray, I knew you'd have a question or comment.
I was just wondering, what are you projecting to be the time frame when these projects would probably be coming online?
Yeah, good question. The key date to get these projects online is end of 2016.
Okay.
Obviously, these developers are going to try and get it comfortably before then, but the key reason for that date is
Tax credits.
the federal tax credits, ITC, because after 2016 it's going to step down to 10% from 30%.
And these are independent power producers that are selling you the power, is that right?
That's correct.
And how long are these contracts for? I mean, how long will it run?
Most of the contracts are for 22 years. There's, I think, one contract that's 20 years, but essentially they're long-term power purchase agreements with these developers.
So that 14 cents, that goes out for that duration, or how does that work?
That's correct. Each project is a little unique, but as I recall, the majority are, you know, if one project is, say, 13 cents, it's flat all the way across till the 22nd.
So stay for the whole duration.
That's right.
And what's the impact going to be on electricity rates for people in Oahu?
So if you look at today's avoided cost, the cost of generation now, it's significantly less. And so, you know, if these projects were able to be put in service tomorrow, then that would be, you know, definitely a savings for customers. We hope that, you know, in the future too, we don't know what the future holds as far as the mix of fuel and the cost and all that type of thing, but, you know, the key thing is it's lowest renewable energy that we have thus far here on the islands. And, you know, it's part of actually our preferred plan in the recently filed power supply improvement plans. So the good news is that it fits with that plan. It's renewable energy. It's in boosting our RPS. And it's the lowest energy pricing we got thus far.
So how does that spread out for the neighbor islands, the Big Island and Maui? Is that going to be spread out, the cost is going to be kind of standardized, or are you putting different projects on different islands?
So these projects are only for Oahu. They're going to be
All of
be
them are
built
Oahu.
all on Oahu. So they affect only the Oahu customers. On the other islands, Maui and Hawaii Island, you know, they do already have some renewable projects, and you know, there may be more in the future. You know, those islands had plans in what we filed back in August, and there are increments of renewable energy that we'd like to add. The good news is that, you know, with these prices that we've signed contracts for, it establishes a new low, a new market. That may change, of course, if the federal ITC, you know, ramps down in 2016, but you know, it's a downward trend, and so that's a good thing.
Unfair question, not related to this, but any idea what the drop in oil prices is going to mean for the price of sulfur fuel oil?
Well, I'm not sure. That's a good question. You know, the drop in fuel oil prices, from what I'm told, it's not guaranteed to stay that low. It may be a short-term thing, but that's the whole thing. The volatility is what we're trying to address here. The good thing about these contracts is that they're fixed pricing. They're not going to change according to commodity prices. It's fixed. And once the projects are built, it won't fluctuate, and it's renewable energy. So, and again, it's the lowest prices we got thus far.
Yeah, great.
So your customers will see a drop, and it will be over a long period of time. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
and it's
From
hard to say.
2016 forward?
Yeah, so when these projects go in service in 2016, you know, if you know, the price of oil and energy production is roughly the same as now, then it would be a drop. But you know, our future does show, our future plans does show a mix of LNG, liquid natural gas, and other types of generation. So the actual cost of that mix and how it compares to, you know, these projects, it's still undetermined. But you know, as far as by today's standard and what we've actually paid and have been paying in the past, it is lower.
Ah, sounds good news.
Very promising.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had a question though. You know, there was this conference in Waikiki last week. I don't know if you went. I didn't go. Some of you guys. Oh, Ray, you went.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of the points discussed was about storage.
Right.
So if you have all this renewables coming online, you know, and it's not firm necessarily, what are you going to do about integrating that into the grid and providing storage in order to even the curve?
Yeah, that's a good question. Energy storage was a big component of the plan that we filed in August, and you know, that's something we're planning to put in a couple years actually. And so that's a major component of being able to make full use of the renewable energy that we be getting from these projects. I'm sure everybody by now has heard about how the load profile on the islands, for the whole state for that matter, has changed significantly. And so that's the challenge, and that's how storage will provide system security and the ability to ensure that we can take all this renewable energy. You know, there's going to be, unfortunately, these prices are fixed prices, but the weather's not fixed, and you know, wind and sun doesn't necessarily replicate itself on a daily basis. But and there's system events that may cause some instability. But the energy storage is a huge component of this, and you know, that being able to be put into service over the next few years is key to maximizing use of these projects and future projects for that matter.
Last question. Anybody?
So just on top of the storage thing, where are you in terms of contracting? Is that in your department where it's integrated with what renewables you bring online, that it's connected so that the scheduling is by 2016 when you have all the renewables, that the storage is there as a technology to receive?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not my department, but I've been trying to keep tabs on that because it's a very interesting part of the business and part of the plan. And you know, there was a solicitation earlier this year that was advertised, and you know, there was a lot of participants, and my understanding is that they're still going through the process of making selections and awarding contracts.
Good.
Very important moment. You have a lot of important moments going on.
Changes, yeah.
A lot
good,
of change,
good.
a lot of change.
Thank you
yeah.
very much, Rodney.
Thanks,
Sean
Rodney.
Weinel.
Rodney,
Thank you for
thank
coming
you.
down.
Thank you.
Thank you for engaging with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Thank you,
Aloha.
Shana.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. And thank you, Shana. We're going to take a short break now, and we'll be right back after this very short break.
ThinkTech Hawaii, Hawaii's only live television channel dedicated to featuring local ideas and innovations in technology, clean energy, and global awareness. In celebration of our 15th anniversary, ThinkTech Hawaii invites you to ThinkTech United, a special holiday celebration at the downtown Laniakea YWCA. Join us on December 11th for speakers, poo-poos, awards, prizes, and surprises. And don't miss our featured speaker presentation on leadership by Robbie Alm. If you would like to network, celebrate, and have pauhana with ThinkTech Hawaii, RSVP online at thinktechhawaii.com and reserve your spot today. Mahalo for being a part of our growing audience. Let's keep ThinkTech Hawaii's mission shining bright. See you Thursday.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here. Of course. Where would we be but not here?
Energy
Hawaii,
Wednesday.
the state of clean energy, with the Central Committee, if you will.
The Politburo.
Sharon, the Politburo of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, right here. Sharon Moriwaki, Ray Starling, Mike Hamnet, and we're here to sort of, you know, celebrate Sharon's return from her trip.
Oh,
That's why we're
please.
calling it Sharon Returns Victorious, and talk about some of the things that have happened and are changing, are happening.
Sharon leaves town and the whole place
Oh,
turns
geez,
upside
oh,
down,
geez.
right?
What's happening?
Yeah. Did you set this up somehow?
She got out of Dodge.
I know. Mike was gone too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So Sharon and Mike
Yeah,
are
right,
targets. So let's talk about your trips first, okay?
My trips.
Take 2 minutes and give us your trip.
Well, it was wonderful. I went through Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and you know, all of these places have such an edge on renewables, on keeping it clean, keeping the community involved in you know, clean. And creative ways, they use a lot of the open green spaces. They say that it saves energy as well. And
Sure.
we are concretizing all of our communities, which is really so counter to the paradise we're supposed to have. So that was the one takeaway I had, was that if a community really does care and involves everybody, that it is possible. But you've got to have strong leadership to say, this is the track we're taking. You've got to
You know what? This is a real important point there. In the land of transformation, we should all be very interested in this. I mean, everybody. So when we travel, we should always look and see what they are doing.
I
on the
always
other
That's
do.
side.
right, yeah.
Absolutely.
And how can we bring it back home
Yeah.
and say, we've got to do some of these
Yeah.
things? Yeah.
Energy arbitrage.
I've often said a good place to spend some money would be to take leaders here in Hawaii and send them on trips.
Field trips, yeah.
Field trips to see how other people do it, because there are some places that actually do it better than we do it here.
I don't
And
think it's
that-
hard to find
no,
out.
Well-
New Zealand does a
New
wonderful
Zealand
job
is
with
terrific,
Yeah.
and it's
geothermal.
clean. and
We
it's,
had a
island
show here.
states.
Was it the State of Energy or one of
You
our
brought
other
somebody.
shows
You
Yeah.
brought
involving a guy from Tasmania?
Yeah.
Was that near New Zealand?
Yeah.
Liam,
Yeah.
what was his name?
South-
Liam?
Liam
South-
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Tasmania.
They were
Tasmania,
way
right.
ahead.
Yeah, he's in Scotland doing pretty much the same thing
Yeah,
now.
so he's the ambassador of all these energy efficiencies. But
Okay.
yeah, if we can do that and bring it home, but do it here,
Oh, yeah.
instead of just
Sure.
go and have a nice trip,
Benefit by
bring
it.
it back, yeah.
We're all emissaries.
That's
We're
right.
all investigators
That's
on
right.
behalf of the Hawaii energy transformation. So Mike, how about your trip?
No, I just visited my mom in Ashland and drove down the California coast. Didn't see a
Oh.
whole lot of
Pretty
energy.
nice.
So probably
No,
saw a
no
lot of
energy
windmills.
there.
I did see a few.
Yeah. Oh, not a lot.
Not as
but
many as I
oh,
thought.
I thought, yeah.
If you didn't know, Ashland has this wonderful Shakespeare festival
Yeah.
that goes on for a good part of the year, and there's all kinds of theater up there. It's worth going. It's a lovely town.
Yeah, 22,000 people, one of the
Oh,
nicest places
lovely
in the
town,
country.
Yeah.
Really is.
Not too far away from the California
No,
border.
it's about 60 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, a good trip. Good
Oh,
trip.
yeah,
Good
sounds
trip.
good. And your
Ray,
mom's
you and me
fine?
would have to.
Haven't been anywhere.
Oh, no, you were away.
Well, I went to Portland for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, so your family's there.
You
Your
all
fam-
abandoned me.
For your
I was here
family?
by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
No
You went
wonder
to
the
visit
lights
family?
dimmed.
Well, friends, we,
Everything
this is,
changed.
I guess,
I was
instructive. We
doing-
have
yeah, I was
a
doing
friend
my
who, was practicing accounting in Hawaii for, I don't know, 40 years, and took off, said, enough, when I retire, I'm gonna go live on the mainland. That's what he's doing.
Ah.
So he was doing Thanksgiving dinners for all those years, and so the dinner, like the movable feast, in Hemingway, the dinner moved
To Portland.
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 So you had to follow it.
That's great.
Well, let's talk about some of the changes. Before we started, Ray was making a list of all the changes, and indeed, we are in flux more than I can remember
Yeah.
in the Clean Energy Initiative. So many things are happening, and these things are not little things, and they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
We are beset with profound change. So, start your list, Ray.
Well,
Exciting.
just to talk about the list itself, there are so many changes going on. My big worry, as I started writing these down, my big worry is that things will kind of come to a screeching halt until all the change completes itself. And that would be a terrible way to see this thing end, because I think the change is good, but it's got to have people that are willing to push through the change and keep going forward and not
Steady,
just
right.
wait to see what happens. And, the first thing, obviously, and this was in no order necessarily, it was just as it came to me. The big change that happened just this last week was the announcement of NextEra merging with ECO. And that alone is huge change. But then you follow that up with recently, just shortly before that, there was a new CEO that took the
October
reins
1st,
at ECO. So, how does that all fit together? I have to imagine that they knew that the NextEra deal was coming, so that was part of the change.
The two
I would
must be
think.
related.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes. And then we've got a new governor, and that new governor has appointed a new head of DBET, which has the State Energy Office in it, and Then we've got
You
the PUC that still is looking to have a reappointment of the chair or a new chair appointed, and that changes the dynamic. And of course, they're in the middle of a lot of things going on right now, and change there is not necessarily good because you lose the continuity.
Yeah.
And sometimes you lose staff, and I understand that they have historically had a hard time keeping staff. So when the staff changes and the PUC itself changes, it's really hard to keep momentum going.
But I think there is, just based on what was said earlier about the projects that have just been approved, I mean, there is a certain amount of momentum to things going forward, that, including the dockets at the PUC. I mean, they're not going to put the brakes on that. There's a schedule, and they're going to stick to it. So I don't think that there's going to be any big, huge change immediately, but what the long haul is very hard to tell.
Now, remains to be seen. So several other things, you know, that I just to get through my list is the on-bill financing and the GEMS program, both which would change the dynamic in terms of how people look at installing renewable energy and or paying for it, and possibly even energy efficiency measures. Instead of a rebate, you could get this on-bill financed type of funding for your project, whatever that is. And then, of course, the big change that continues is we've got the technology allowing people to have a choice now in terms of going off grid. And that's not a big deal right now, but as the technology changes, and if those prices don't come down, you'll reach a kind of a tipping point where people say, look, you know, I can buy a battery and take my chances, you know, and do it. And that I think would hurt a lot if we had a lot of people leave the grid, because the grid serves everybody, and if you let the people who have the money leave the grid because you're really pushing them away because of the pricing, you're going to leave a lot of people stranded. So
You also have the
let you
prospect
talk
of
about
big institutions like Parker Wrench on the Big Island, and even UH-Hilo, where they're talking about having a microgrid of their own, and them coming off the HELCO grid. I'm not sure how fast all that's going to happen, but there's discussions going on now about all of that. And the military bases here on this island,
Yep.
whether they're going to, I mean, I'm guessing that they're going to get storage in to the military bases. And I think there's going to be some pressure to stay on the grid, but who knows?
The technology itself in general is
Well,
changing.
yeah, see, I mean, the perfect analogy is look at what happened to the telephone companies, you know, that thought, you know, they would always have a rotary telephone in everybody's house.
Before you know it, everybody is terminating service.
Right, flight from the grid.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to offer a concern. And we should go through these changes and look for the effects. But my concern is call it, you know, it's like medicine. You know, you go to your doctor and he gives you 27 pills. And there's nowhere in the literature that tells you
The drug interaction.
exactly.
Yeah, the side
Okay. So
effects.
we have a cocktail of change. And we don't know, as a society, as a historical track, as a, you know, a sociological, you know, integration of all these things, what they really mean. But if they don't work, if the cocktail doesn't work, then maybe the lights go out. Something awful could happen with all these changes where we don't know how to control the result of the changes.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
even the tremendous rush to rooftop solar. I mean, that's something that, you know, 7 years ago, HECO swore that would never happen, and they couldn't accommodate it. And now it's what, 11%, something
Yeah,
like that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
and aside from the interconnect, it would be rising just as fast and expanding just as fast, I think.
Right.
I mean, my own theory about the interconnect is that discouraged the market. And that's why the PV guys have lost, you know, half of their business. It's because people didn't want to get into a controversy, or as they say on BBC, controversy. That's what they say.
You know, I go back to what we said at the policy forum, way back when we started. We need a plan. I mean, it's not a rock solid plan where it's lockstep, but something where we know where we're going and what we need to do, and that we at least know in the big picture framework, so that you know, okay, if we're going to do this, don't go a whole hog on PV. You know, have a plan going forward if you know the grid is too old to take in. Don't let it go forward and then have to retract and say we can't do that. Then the impact is great on the consumer.
And try to figure out the consequences of
Yeah.
everything you do, so you don't have unintended
Right,
consequences.
right. So
Well,
not
and
so
we-
slow down, but it's really to look at what are all the moving pieces and at least have people talking to each other and not just putting something on the grid or not putting something on the grid, but look at the big picture. And we have had plans. I mean, we have a plan and we have a strategy. It's just a matter of moving forward with it, and we have it.
But let me ask you a question before the break. With all these changes that Ray has articulated, and I'm sure if we really drill down, we can find some more changes too that we have to cope with, does that make it more or less likely that we will be able to come up with a plan? Does it make it more or less easy to come up with it? It's never been
Not
easy.
easy, not easy.
Does this make it more easy or less easy?
No, it makes it a lot harder, because I remember the first IRP with HECO that I participated in. I mean, it was all HECO. I mean, they were identifying what the demand was going to be and identifying what the resources were going to be, and they came up with a sort of a monolithic plan, and that, at least for the electricity sector in each of the HECO utilities. We sort of had an idea where they were going,
Yeah.
and then the lid came off,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of.
Yeah, I think that's another serious risk. I mean, you're absolutely right. We need a plan. We've always needed a plan. We haven't had a really good one.
And it's not like we're a huge community. We're small. We're only 1.5 million people here.
You know, we feel a lot smaller since last week. But we'll get to that after the break. Why is
do it.
Hawaii
We can't
Energy
do
a
it.
small community? We're going to find out why. Here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, this blockbuster show, Old Home Week show with Sharon and Mike return victorious. Sharon Moriwaki, Ray Starling, and Mike Hamnet. We'll be right back. You'll see.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. Hey, you
You
guys.
have to repeat.
We can't
So
talk anymore.
exuberant. We're back. We're live. We're here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. This blockbuster group, Old Home Week group. Sharon and Mike returned victorious with Sharon Moriwaki, Ray Starling, and Mike Hamnet. And during the break, somebody made fun of the term gridlock. It was you, Mike. It's a pun because you know we have so many things going on, and if we were stuck in the headlights before, it's likely we'll be even more stuck now because everybody likes to go on the sidelines and watch to see what happens. Nobody likes to step out forward. You know, this actually relates to Robbie Yam's comments for tomorrow night at the ThinkTech reunion. He's talking about leadership, and leadership is right here. I mean, you have to have chutzpah. This is not like Shana Punan. This is chutzpah. You have to move. If you're going to be a leader, you have to move ahead, take a risk, and do it. But we don't. And that's the problem, and maybe we should hear from Robbie about exactly how you treat that. The problem is we've had deer in the headlights itis, and this is going to probably accelerate that, expand it. What do you think, Ray?
Well, I think that's a very real possibility. Everybody wants to wait to see what comes out of this, the merger. Which direction are they going? They're going to be more aggressive with large solar. They're going to allow people to put solar on their rooftops. You know, what is going to happen? And if we all wait for a year. They're projecting not to make this merger happen until the PUC approves it, and then it would likely be next year about this time. That's a long wait, and people, you know,
For doing
not-
nothing, you know, we'll all be stuck.
I want to just put one more little thing in the equation, people. Because you call it the market, you can call it, you know, customers. That's why we're doing all of this. And when we had the Clean Energy Day, or was it our summit, when HECO came in and said, no, we're really changing our format, we're really being customer driven, and we're changing the paradigm. And I think it's because it is true. People are much more involved with the internet, you know, with social media. People can get much more involved, and they can get misinformation just as well as good information, and it can go viral. So part of this is, how do you inform and educate the public so the public is aware and they become a force in terms of safeguards, or in terms of what we want, in terms of, give us really good renewables that would be at cost that we can afford. I mean, they need to speak.
What kind of a question is that? How do you inform the public? You watch
Tell them to watch
ThinkTech.
ThinkTech.
Exactly.
You go to see Hawaii Energy Policy.
Oh, that was a tee-up, wasn't it? Yeah.
There you go. You've got to get more involved, and you know, be able to not be afraid to ask questions, not be afraid to push these big institutions. They're supposed to be serving the public.
I worry about the public going off the wrong trail here, though. You know,
Well,
because the public tends to get angry so easily. And I always say that what do you call it, the Clean Energy Initiative devolved into the Cheap Energy Initiative. Everybody got all mad about
Well,
that.
there was a turning point at that PUC hearing in Kilo,
Yeah.
where ratepayers are up yelling at the PUC. And they're saying, you know, we pay the highest cost of energy in the country, and now you're going to tell me I need a surcharge for renewable energy? Get out of here. And I think the PUC really reacted to that. I think this.
The public outcries had an effect, I really
Yeah.
think, on everybody, the utility,
But is
consumer
it-
advocate.
So, one, is the public outcry accurate? You know, in other words, is that what the public really thinks, or just some of the public?
The vocal public.
Two, is the public well-informed in order to reach this kind of opinion, even if it's an accurate statement of the opinion of the public? And I guess three is, what do you do about it? How do you change public opinion? How do you improve it? And how do you react to it? I mean, these are parts of the transformational problem. It's Sharon's challenges question. You know, we are beset with challenges now, and the challenges seem greater now. Because we are in the crux of the transformation, and all these new factors and features and elements and variables are coming into play. What do we do? Every day is a different combination of problems.
Right. But you know, that's the exciting part of it. If we look at it in terms of transformation, it's mixing everything up. It's not just the whole old way or the old bureaucracy.
Right.
It's how do you reconfigure, or how do you get rid of, and how do you input new stuff to make it much more customer oriented, much more affordable, much more new ways in which moving us forward will really get us to clean energy, will really make us self-sufficient. Those are the questions that need to be
Okay,
asked.
but I'd like to boil this right down to the essence of it, which we should address. You know what I'm going to say.
Leadership.
Of all of those changes, one dominates the other like a Goliath. It's the
Leadership.
8,000-pound gorilla. Okay, and so what are the implications of that? How does that really? Isn't that the major thing you're talking about, Ray? Isn't that the major thing that will have all kinds of unintended consequences? And isn't that the major thing that will change everything? Whatever happens, it will change everything. Even if it doesn't go through, it'll change everything. Because if it doesn't go through, and let me add this, if it doesn't go through,
No, they'll be back to
it's
them.
in play. It's, you know, Hawaiian Electric Company is on the market. And even if they can't do it, there are other utilities that will come and offer more. So, I mean, we can't go back. We have gone over the Rubicon in the past.
You know, it's
week.
interesting, interesting that
Barn doors
everybody
open.
was saying, we don't like what HECO is doing, they've got to change their business model, they've got to do something different, and the outcry was there, and so now they said, okay, we did something really different, we're selling
Well, they
ourselves.
did that.
And
And
then
then
it
it was like, well, wait, we don't want that kind of change.
But my biggest fear, and I don't know if I were directly involved in the transaction, I don't know how I would set it up so that we could continue and go in the direction that the new company presumably would bring, or the twists and turns that they would bring to the table. How do we do that now? Because we need it now. We need change now, not a year from now, or we're going to lose the customers that can, especially if we have this flat charge. People are going to make a calculation. You know, what if the flat charge is $40? It's one thing. If it's $80, it's another thing. And there'll be people who can, you know, buy a couple of Teslas and plug them in somewhere
Why do
and
you
use that as
say-
battery.
Why do you say we have to do it now? I'll give you this scenario. Oil goes down. Renewables are running at 14 cents or something.
The new ones are.
The new ones.
Yeah.
Everything looks swell. It's just lovely. And prices are actually, you can follow the chart, it's going down. If that happens, do you think people will be demanding change? They'll be just peachy about the change they're having. They're not going to look for structural change if they're not paying as much as they used to pay.
Well, that may be even worse.
It may be, and to us,
Yeah.
than to the future in
Sure.
2030,
Yeah,
whatever.
I agree.
You know? But I mean, I think the public opinion is driven by
And
price.
but if we do have sort of a lull, that's the time to get moving.
Yes.
Because when the lull's gone, you're gonna be grabbing for anything you can, and it might be something that you don't really want because it's something, the only thing you can grab right now to fix it. And I don't.
I'll give you
know,
an answer to your question.
Give me an answer.
Okay. See if these guys are ready. DBED.
DBED.
DBED, Chief Energy Officer of the state, new governor, you know, all kinds of possibilities. New start, you know, put your left foot out. We're going to do something different. We're going to cope with this. We agree with Ray, agree with everybody here at this table. We're going to do something. And if there's one agency that has the, what do you call it, the authority, the discretion, the obligation, if you will, to move ahead with clean energy in the form of government action, it's DBED.
Okay.
So,
They've always had that.
But now you've got to put the right people in there to lead,
Well, I mean,
to get us to
they-
that point. So now is the opportunity thing.
yes, it is. So,
So what's different now? The new governor, okay.
Yeah.
New DBED.
New
New
DBED,
DBED.
yeah,
New
okay.
DBED.
All right, well,
this is really important. This is the most, I always say that DBED is the most important appointment he makes, for sure. And it's not only business, it's everything that touches DBED. It's so much.
Drives the
But
economy.
DBED doesn't have any authority whatsoever over Hawaiian Electric Company.
It has the authority to speak.
It does.
It has the authority to, you know, rub shoulders and twist elbows and arms and legs.
PUC's got a lot more twisting power
That's
than
true.
DBED ever
That's
has.
true, but it's slower.
But if we had a policy in place, a really strong policy and a plan, DBED could come to the table, you know, and say, this is where the state should go as a policy matter.
Right.
And PUC is also following suit on the policy, so it's executing the policy, and they're just looking at how are the utilities implementing this policy. So it would be a really nice alignment if there were that kind of real pathway.
Yeah, so we have got to get the new DBED here at this table and talk to
Right,
him.
that would be the next step.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, soon.
So
Soon.
next week.
Maybe let's
Next week.
briefly, maybe next week.
We don't even have to wait for confirmation, actually.
Right,
Just
right,
go for it.
right, go for it. We'll see, we'll check them out here.
So,
I
I mean,
just wonder-
you know, it seems to me we have plenty to worry about. We have plenty of unknown possibilities and interactions of all these variables. Just put that aside for a minute, and let me ask you here in the last couple of minutes of our show, what do you think is going to happen, really?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I knew I'd be putting some money on it. But,
What we hope to happen or what
Are you
will
buying
happen?
stock in the Florida energy company?
I don't know. I really don't know. It is so complex now. And it does come down, I mean, I think we've kind of talked about this enough. I think it does come down to somebody actually leading, not just promoting their position, but leading the state towards the future and not letting any single entity come in and got to have it their way because that's what's best for them. We ought to be doing what's best for the entire state and the future. And that's the kind of leadership that I think could get a coalition together that we'd say, look, I don't agree with everything this guy says, but or this gal says, but we got to do something. They seem to have a good plan. Let's go do it.
Well, and that's why I think that the independent PUC was critical, or is critical, is that their charge is to be independent, to look at the benefit for the state, the ratepayers. And so they are the arbiters of what is right and not be swayed by big business or having this political or that political action, that it really should be that straight and narrow. This is our policy to get to clean energy that's affordable.
And
So,
our policy
yeah.
should be for the common
Right,
good.
right,
Yes,
right,
and
right.
I believe that's true, but they need all the other people helping.
Support it,
I mean, that's the thing that has not come together, I think, is the regulatory agency, which is doing their thing, but you need all the other
Support.
pieces that the regulatory agency can't do, and it needs to all come together.
And I know
So-
they haven't had the support of the administration in the past of getting the right people, getting the right salaries, keeping their good people. And that is really, to me, critical for them to
They're
go
already
forward.
losing some good people over there.
The whole thing is critical, don't you think? This is the most important initiative in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it connects. I mean, nobody will argue that a state that has good, clean, cheap energy
It's
is
do
going to have a
well
better
business.
economy.
Yeah,
That's
Yep.
right.
exactly.
And we have, that's the end
It drives
of
the
it.
economy.
So Mike, let me let you close. You're always so thoughtful. How do you integrate all of this?
I just am less pessimistic than some other people.
No,
that
we
take
should be
it.
optimistic.
Because I think there is momentum and things are moving ahead. And I think the PUC is going to continue to work on the dockets that they're working on. And I think that the energy projects, some of which were described here today, those are going to move forward. And all of that's to the good. And it's all pushing the cost of energy and the cleanliness of energy in the right direction.
You know what they say, and I can't say this in Yiddish, but they say, from your lips to God's ears.
I'm working on that.
Let me make a call.
Hallelujah.
That's Mike Hamnet and Ray Starling and Sharon Moriwaki here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, with our show entitled Sharon and Mike Return Victorious. See what you can make of that. Aloha. We'll be back.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.